Okay, so welcome back to the second half of this episode. Now I'm going to have to make this a little bit quicker, simply because I've hardly got any battery power left. And I want to try and get the second half of this episode done before we run out of battery power all the time. So welcome back to this very special live edition episode of Influence of Times at Her Majesty's Prison in Shrewsbury. So this is part 2. Okay, so part 1 we've done already, so we're now on part 2. So we finished just there on level 2 of A-Wing. So we've just gone through here. Now we've kind of covered this bit already in the first half. So if you haven't seen the first half, you'll know what I mean. So we've been through there already. So that's where inmates were allowed to get the medication from the dispensary, and that's all kind of like pharmacy, nurse bit and things around there. So we're going to go through to the next bit. Okay. So we come out of A-Wing, and I'm just going to spin the camera around so you're not always looking at me. So we looked at this one here. Remember, this was cell 43 and 44 combined into one. And I've explained why in part 1, so I don't want to recap. But we come out of A-Wing and we go through these gates. And these are just all offices. Now, we did go into one office, but I can quickly show you through the door, because I just want to make sure we cover everything. So you can kind of get an idea of what's in this. So these are all the offices in the back area. So we go along through this corridor. So they're pretty much, we went into that room there. We had a look. So these are all the offices. And these might be like small consultation rooms or something, maybe. So they're all small offices. You've got a number of them on both sides of this corridor. Okay, so you've got another small one there, another one there. Okay, so we come through to this one. Again, we've got another office here with a window. Okay, and you can see, if you look out the window, you can get an idea of, you can see the entrance through the bars there. So that's the main entrance of the prison, okay? So we're just going to speed up a little bit because I just don't want to lose anything. Okay, so again, we've got a visitor toilet. So we come through to this bit. Okay, so just to spin around so I can show you. So that's the corridor leading from A-Wing, and we're now heading towards C-Wing. But that's all the offices. And if we go up them stairs, there's rooms up there which we'll have a look at in a minute. Okay, so we go through this way. So again, we've got another office through here. Again, this would have been office for staff, wardens, officers, that kind of thing. Yeah, so you can see all the electrical wires and stuff where computers, telephones and that would have been plugged in. So it's just an office, and you can see how every office, well not every office, but the important offices had metal gates over them, across them. So that gate separates C-Wing, okay, C-Wing, and there's another gate at the other end, that's A-Wing. So this corridor was sealed off because that's staff. So we'll go through this way. So we go through this gate and we go to here. Okay, this is C-Wing. Okay, so we're going to come down here. This is C-Wing. This is where the ladies' cells would have been, down here. And we're on the top floor of C-Wing. And there's only one block and there's only 2 floors. So this is C-Wing. So I'm just going to take you in. And this will give you an idea of some of the people. Now these people weren't necessarily people who were in Shrewsbury prison, but these are some of the stories of some of the crimes that some people committed. And there's a number of them. So you've got John George Hay. That's his story on there. Come back through this way. You've got other ones as well. You've got Mary Bell. Okay, so I'm just going to take you into them. That's the ladies' changing rooms. Okay, so that's the ladies' changing and shower rooms. And there's how many we've got 1, 2, 3, you've got 4 shower rooms. Okay, so this is where the ladies had a shower. And then we've got more cells. This one's about Jack the Ripper, so we've all heard about Jack the Ripper. Yeah. So that's all about Jack the Ripper. And then we've got other ones as well, so we've got some other stories. Just come down here, there's another one there. So we've got this one here. This one was Peter Sutcliffe. So that's a story that I recognise. It's got Peter Sutcliffe's story there. And then you've got some others. Just come down this way. Let's have a look. You've got another one here. This is probably a more recent one. Remember Harold Shipman, who was a doctor and actually used prescriptions to poison or kill his victims. He actually committed suicide in his cell at Wakefield prison at 6:20 on the 30th of January 2004. He was pronounced dead at 8:10. That's Harold Shipman. I remember that story. So there's obviously some stories that are recognisable. Then you come down here, and you've got this one, which is just Fred and Rose West. This is a great big story. You can see all the victims just there, look, on the board, all the young women. But they murdered them. Fred actually hanged himself at Winson Green Prison, which is actually near where I live. Winson Green Prison in Birmingham is actually near where I live. In fact, it's about 5 or 10 minutes away. Or maybe not, about 10, 15 minutes away walk. But that's Fred and Rosie West. That's their story. And there's a story there about Caroline Roberts. So some of the cells have got stories in. So yeah, so this is the women's block. So this is C block. Okay, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So you can see for yourselves what it looks like. So this is C block. So you've got top floor, and then we'll just go down the stairs. And this is just going down the stairs, so you can see. So we've just come down the stairs, and this is the lower half. So you've got women's block here. So let's just go into this one. This is cell 3. These are a lot older, so this is probably the most, I say notorious, I suppose in a way it is the most notorious and oldest part of Shrewsbury Prison. This is more original. Okay, so A block was added later, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was added later than this block. So this is one of the earlier Victorian, I believe. I don't know if it was Edwardian, it may have been Edwardian, so it may have been one of the, no, it wouldn't have been, wouldn't it? I think it was Victorian. So this is like the most notorious and oldest part of Shrewsbury Prison, C block. And you can smell anyway, and obviously they look older. I mean, obviously they've got the toilet and things put in, but this particular block is more notorious for having more stories and that kind of thing attached. The cells look slightly different, but they do look and smell a lot older than A wing. Now, women were here from, I believe, something like 1907? Remember the really early 1900s, or was it 1920s? I can't remember exactly when, but women were here. It might have actually been the 1920s, and just bear with me a second, I'm just trying to get my facts right. I believe it was earlier than that, that's right. Women were here until 1922. Okay, so that's when women were no longer here, 1922. But women were here from very earlier than that. So, I don't know, I can't remember the exact year. I'm sure it's something like the really early 1900s, like 1902, 1907, something like that. But women only were kept in this block. So this is C block. And like I said, they were kept here until 1922. But yeah, so just give you an idea of what it's like in a woman's cell, so you can kind of see. But yeah, this is the C block, so I'll just show you. So you've got like the guard booth, flight of steps, you've got this thing here, I'm not quite sure what this is for. I don't know. Maybe that's where the guards were kept in there as well. Not kept, that's where they were. This is for the garden tools. So this is the dustpan, these are for the dustpans and the brushes that were hung here, and they were used to clean up there. And I'm going to take you through there now. Some people. If you go through there, if you just see through that door. So that's actually, that's the women's courtyard. Now it's not very big. There's some people out there at the moment, so I'm not going to take you through there, but that's the actual women's courtyard. It's quite small, square-shaped. Quite small, but that's the only source of fresh air they had, and that's C Wing's courtyard, and like I said, women only went out there. and that was their courtyard. But yeah, this is C block. So this is the most notorious, oldest part of the prison. So there's 2 floors. I think each floor's got like 10 cells. 11 cells, so 22 cells altogether. And if you come down here, this last cell on the bottom floor, so cell 11, this was for, you had like a guard office behind you. This was the ladies' observation cell. So this is the cell where they were observed. So this was for a woman who was considered very high risk. This is where she was kept. Now I would imagine there was probably a camera behind there. But you had like a bed, and then toilet, sink just behind there, and your little thing. But there's bars. So you had a cell door and the bar shut. So this was for a very high risk offender, criminal, female criminal. And to think that they were in this cell. It's just, I don't know. It's a very different vibe between the men's and the women's. Very different vibe. You can, I don't know anybody else, but I can certainly feel it. But that's what's in here. Now, I'm going to speed up a bit because I just want to make sure I cover everything before we run out of power, because we can always come back. So how's about we go upstairs? So I'll just give you one last look. So this is cell C block. So you've got the lower floor. So there's 11 cells on the bottom floor and 11 cells on the top floor. As you can see. Okay. So let's go up the stairs. And I'll spin you around. So you've got the stairs. So I'll just give you one last look so you can kind of see. So that's where we've come from A wing. That's C wing healthcare. So remember the men had a healthcare section. This is the women's healthcare section. So bars, and they were past medication. Show you that tiny little gap, is it? Little gap there. So that's where C wing had a nurse, and she was in that tiny little room. You can go in there. I mean, we can have a quick look. I can quickly show you. There's not much to see, but it's just a really pokey room, look. So you've got like a sink at the end, the hatch, and a little worktop. So that's where she would have been in there. So let me just show you C wing one last time, so you can get a really good look at it. So there you go, C wing. So that's the women's wing. Now then, let's go through this way. Okay, we are walking towards the execution room. So just to let you know, that's where we're going. So you can open this door. That's just a fire exit. So let's go through there. Okay. Now as we go through into this room, before we get to the execution room, I believe this is where the executioner would have stayed. Okay, so this is where the executioner, when they used to hang people here and execute them, he would have stayed here. He would have slept in this room. So this is the executioner's room. Okay, so he would have slept in this room here, and I believe he had an office which leads back onto A wing, because we came in here. Alright? So we'll go back through here. Now we're actually walking the very same path that people would have been walked to being executed. Alright? So I'm going to take you in this room here first. So I just want to make sure we're not running out of battery power. Okay, so we're in this very large room here. Now again, I don't know what this room is used for, but it's a large room, as you can see, big kind of like office. There's a story up here about Ruth Ellis. Now you may have already heard of Ruth Ellis. She featured in a film. I'm just trying to remember that. Just trying to very quickly. She was in a film. She was in the film Lady Godiva Rides Again, and she shot her husband 5 times at point blank range, and she was hanged on July 13th, 1955. Okay? And it doesn't say she was hanged here, but she was hanged. Ruth Ellis. Okay, so let's go through. So we are going through now to the execution room. Okay, so we've walked from C wing, and you come through this way, and you come to this little bathroom. Now this bathroom was the last time that they were allowed to go to the toilet or do anything before they were hanged or executed. And it's just a small bathroom. So you've got your toilet. Obviously at some point, tools would have hung up there, wet floor signs and stuff, and a sink. But you can see how it's painted slightly different. So you've got like butterflies and that kind of thing on the wall. So you can see them. So that will just give you a look in there. And then we go through. This is the execution room. Okay, so this is the actual execution room. And that mannequin freaks me out every time I see it. That's the third time I've seen him and he still makes me jump. And that's the noose that was used to execute the last people here. Okay? So that's it there. So we're standing in the execution room. The execution room hasn't changed its location, okay? So this is exactly where the execution room was when they executed and hung the last 7 criminals or inmates in this very prison. So it hasn't changed. And then you'll notice that on the floor, it's wooden. Okay? And the reason why it's wooden is because the drop, which was called a long drop, is directly underneath that noose. Okay, so under these floorboards is the what they call the long drop. And basically what they did is they put the noose around the criminal's neck and they put it to one side so that when they fell, it broke the vertebrae, certain vertebrae in the neck. And sometimes what they would do is when the trapdoors opened and they were hung, they would pull the legs or the feet of the victim to ensure that the person was killed. But it was called the long drop. Okay? And that's just to give you a picture of how it looked. I don't know if you can see it. Just make sure the camera's straight. But you can see there, look. So that drop is directly underneath these floorboards. And in here is the 7 people who were killed. We'll start right from over here, look. I mean, we'll go right from the start. So we've got Richard Widley. He was executed on March 18th, 1902. And basically, so he cut her throat on the 30th of November 1901. And on the 18th of March 1902, he was hung right here in Shrewsbury prison, in this very room. These are the execution facts. The last hanging took place on the 9th of February 1961, and it was conducted by Harry Allen. Okay. And every execution took place at 8 o'clock in the morning. All right. Then we've got these ones here. Obviously, this is the last person to be hung here, George Riley. He was hung on the February the 9th, 1961, right here in this room. Basically, he murdered his 62-year-old. He murdered 62-year-old Adeline Mary Smith on October 1960 after a night out drinking with friends. He broke into her home to rob her. She disturbed him in the process of robbery, and he hit her by a blow which killed her. And he was hung here. We've also got Desmond Donald Hopper. He was executed for murder of 12-year-old Betty Smith. So she was going out. Betty went out to play. Yeah, she went out to play, and he basically took her and killed her. She had a man's tie around her neck, so he strangled her and killed her. And he was actually executed here on January 26, 1954. Donald Neil Simon was 32. He was a former Canadian soldier who murdered his estranged wife, Eunice Joyce. He shot them both in Slough and was hung here on the 23rd of October 1952. We come over this way. There's a picture of the public outside this prison on the last execution in 1961. Harry Huxley was 43. murdered his girlfriend, his 32-year-old girlfriend, Ada Royce. He was executed by hanging on the 29th of December, sorry, on the 8th of July, 1952. You've got 1950 Frank Griffin, age 40. He entered the Queen's Head Inn in Shropshire to basically rob the place. During the break-in, he attacked and killed the landlady Jane Edge, and he was executed on the 4th of January 1951. And then we've got 57-year-old William Griffiths. Basically, he let me just quickly. He killed his mum and was executed on the 24th of July 1923. And Thomas Cox was aged 59, murdered his wife, aged 59. He cut her throat and was executed on the 19th of December 1917. So there we go. So you've got like 7 people and their stories, but this is the actual execution room. And that's the noose. You see it? The camera. So that's the floorboard you can see here, all wooden, with the trapdoors underneath. But yeah, this is the execution room. It's just very strange in here again, very surreal, to think that I'm standing in an execution room where those 7 people, and like I said, some of those names are quite familiar. I can remember George Riley and Ruth Ellis. You know, I'm not saying she was executed here, but to think that 7 people were hung between 1902 and 1961, and they were hung in this very room, killed right there without notice. It's very strange feeling. And obviously that's a mannequin. And like I said, every time I see him, he freaks me out. And then if you go in this little room next to the execution room, obviously you've got like a hatch where viewers are able to view the execution, and you've also got a cabinet here for different things. I'm not quite sure what it's used for. It does have things like Stanley knives and chisels and stuff, so I don't know, but little closet. Okay. Now, because I don't want to miss anything, I'm gonna head straight out to the back so we don't miss anything. So we're now walking away from the execution room. And we're now going to head out. If I can remember how to get there. Let's do it this way. So we're now going to quickly walk back through. Oh, I did say I would show you up here, didn't I? We've got these stairs. This is, got a couple of offices up here. There's not much up here, guys. There's just a few offices and things. Here, look, a sink and some offices. I don't know what these are for. There's a curtain and stuff there, so I don't know if these were for staff to, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you, but offices anyway. And then we've got some toilets and stuff there. That's all that's up here. Anyway, so I'm just conscious of battery power, and I would hate for us to lose it. So I'm going to take you through. So I'm going to go back through here. Okay, so just to avoid kind of taking up more battery and video things, we've just walked out from where we were, and we've come back through A wing, and then we're now going to take you through the last bit of the prison. Okay, so this is the last bit. So there's not really, it's really, it's kind of like the back courtyard area bit, really, but we're going to go through to the chapel and the visiting area, because I just want to get that bit done as well. Okay, so we go through here. Okay, we've come into this, like, I believe, so this is the visits room. Okay, so visitors would come in here and they would be able to change or, you know, I don't know, hang things up, coat bags and things, and leave them in here, and this is where they would come into. They'd come into this huge area here. So you've got like seating area. So this is obviously where people who were visiting inmates would be able to sit and wait. Obviously you'd have like a guard sitting there. They've obviously painted the walls and things to make it, because obviously like children would come here as well. But this is where visitors would come and sit and wait to visit the people. The interview rooms are over here. I think you've got 2 or maybe 3. So you've got like interview rooms, 2 and 3 and 1, I think it is that way. So you've got like 3 interview rooms, which is obviously where I guess they would interview. They'd have like a police officer or a guard, and then they'd have the inmate and maybe the visitor. So you'd kind of have interview rooms through there. Now I'm going to come through this way, so you kind of go through. I just want to make sure I show you everything, but I'm just conscious of things. So let me just show you. So you've come from kind of down there. So you walk through and you've got like the visiting section. So obviously the waited here, big room. That just goes back out to where we were, outside. And then you've got like the interview rooms. You've got 3 interview rooms. And you go through this little corridor, and I'll show you what's down here. So you've got like a little kitchen there. And then this is where inmates and visitors were allowed to see each other. Now obviously I'm on the visitor side. Now there's only room for 3 people, and you can see what I mean. So you've got 3. For some reason this has got a separate little room, so maybe this was for somebody who was trusted enough to be more private. But they realised that there you had another inmate there and another inmate there. And there's 2 bits of glass. Now it doesn't look strong. I'm sure they've taken the glass out, but it's perspex. But that's where, and obviously a little microphone to hear each other. And that's where they would sit and talk to people. So I'm on the visitor side, the inmates would be that side, and that's as close as they'd be to get. There's no way of getting through or past or beyond. It's literally just that's as close as you can get. So they'd sit that side, you'd sit here, and that's how you would talk to your loved ones. It's just quite sad, really. And obviously they had games. They would have had other games as well, but they've got some little games here for the children who would have come to visit. So that's where I am. So you kind of have to walk down this little kind of like side corridor in a way. So we'll go back through this way, because obviously we've got some people. So we'll go back through here. I'm sure I'm coming the right way. Yeah. So that's now looking through where the inmates would have gone that way. Okay, so now we're going through to the chapel. Okay, so this is called St. Luke's Chapel. So this is the chapel. Now the sports hall is out of bounds because they've changed it into like a children's play area. But this is the chapel. So you had, obviously your guard would have sat there. A little room there as well. But this is the chapel area. This is where they would have had church on a Sunday. So there's the pulpit. And another little pulpit there. And this is the chapel. This is where they would have held services and things. But yeah, it's quite a big room to show you. So you can see, oops, I've kind of got my phone charging at the same time. So yeah, you can see, look. So this is like, so this is the chapel. I'm going to take you upstairs because I want to show you the workshop area, and that's probably the last bit I can show you. There isn't really anything else I can show you. So this is the chapel. Okay. So yeah, so they've got the play area. So we're going to go upstairs now to the workshop area. This is where inmates practice things like woodwork and that kind of thing. So they were allowed to come up here. And like I said, this is like the last real bit of the prison I can show you. We've covered everything. I mean, we covered an enormous amount in the first half. So we've come through a slightly different way. But that's the entrance coming up from the chapel. Or you can come up through that way. This is the workshop area. And there's 2 huge workshop areas. And they're both locked off or blocked off. Or separated by huge gates. This is one of them. Okay, so in each workshop area they had a sink, and they had toilets. Urinals, obviously that's for, I don't know if they're showers. Oh no, sit-down toilets. So men and women, I guess. But yeah, so there's the toilets there. And this is where the guard would have been in there. And this is the workshop area. This is where they would have practiced woodwork and other things. There's a sign up there saying end test, so that could have been for electrical. But this is where they were allowed to work while they were in prison. So let's just go through this way. So go through these massive, huge green metal gates. These are the different offices that they had. It's got a little office there, another toilet. So that's the female toilets. So I would imagine that's female officer toilets. And that's male, I believe, possibly. Male officer toilets. There's the shutter, which would have allowed the goods lift. So they would have been able to bring up wood and metal and stuff like that. But yeah, so inmates were locked in there, and it's locked that end as well. So they were locked in there to do woodwork and crafts and things. That's the stairway that comes up through the middle. So I don't know if you can see it. So it's just like a stairway that would have come up the other way. So we came up the other end. And this is more, I'll show you. So you come through, obviously that would have been separated. Have a look behind me, guys. Another sink and things there. Brush, dustpan and brush. And then you've got, see that? It's the workshop area. So separated by these glass panels. Obviously you could see, but they're separated. So there are different little workshops in between. So you've got this in here. I don't know what would have been in here, but so you've got more showers and stuff in the corners. That's like cubicles and showers and stuff. This is like the office. And then, yeah, this is your workshop area, guys. Again, this is where they would have practiced woodwork, metalwork, craft, all that kind of stuff. It's quite interesting, really. And again, they would have had another, it's like a workshop there. So you would have come in here and you would have been able to do different things. So these are all little trays, look. So you've got like toilet seat spares, packed fixings, valves, fittings, screws. So all the little trays for holding all the little bits and bobs. So these are, that's what this is. And you come out this way. So you come down. So you've got another office there. And you've got a storeroom. So these are the two storerooms at the end. And you come through this way. So it's all blocked off. You just go through this door. So you can see even the stairways are all caged to stop people from falling and committing suicide and all the rest of it. But you can see how they're all, let's see, look, if I show you, they're all caged to stop people from falling over the edge or trying to commit suicide or anything. So that's the workshops up there. Now I've kind of rattled through the second bit of this episode a bit quick, simply because there was a couple of people up there. That doesn't really matter, but I just don't want the battery power to go out. So I'm curious that obviously the fact that this second half is very short. It's about 9.5 minutes long, but we're pretty much finished. I mean, that's as much as I can show you, really. I really can't show you anything else. I've shown you everything. Obviously, we spent the most amount of time in A Wing. I showed you C Wing, the execution room, and obviously this is all like the visiting area, the chapel, and obviously upstairs is the workshop area. So I've kind of showed you pretty much everything, guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just slowly walk with you out. Let me just get my bearings a minute, guys. Yeah, we'll go back out through this way. This is probably easiest. And here we go, look. So we're pretty much back where we started. So I'm just going to walk down here. So if you remember, when we first started, we were down by the pitch, which is currently where we am, roughly almost now. So we're just going to walk down to the pitch, and then I'm going to finish there, because there isn't really anything else I can show you. I've shown you everything. I've shown you as much as I can. So yeah, we're back where we started, at the pitch. So here we are again. I don't really want to keep kind of taking you back I mean, I could spend hours just walking around this place and just soaking up the atmosphere, so to speak, and I could with you. I'd more than happily sit with you, but obviously I'm sure you don't want to spend hours and hours in there. I don't really want to keep taking you back in there and re-showing you, because I'm just going to be showing you what I've already done. But we are back on the pitch, as you can see, back where we started. So there we go, guys. There's nothing else that I can show you. I've showed you everything, but I do hope that you have found this episode of Infamous Times by far the most. I've tried to make it the most interesting and fascinating for you as possible. I've tried to give you as much information as I can. Obviously, as always, you are more than welcome to Google Her Majesty's Prison in Shrewsbury and find out for yourself and read about the prison yourself anyway. But there's pretty much, like I said, that's about as much as I can kind of show you, really. So we've covered everything. You know, we've covered B block, C block, A wing or A block, the chapel. We've done the workshop areas. We've done the laundry areas. We've pretty much done everything. So there really isn't anything else that I can show you apart from what we've already covered. So that's really about all I can kind of show you, really. But I do hope that you found this episode of Infamous Times one of the most interesting, fascinating that I've done so far in the series, and it really has been, definitely without question, the most fascinating and interesting episode of Infamous Times that I've ever filmed in the whole series. It really is. So there we go. Her Majesty's Prison in Shrewsbury. What an amazing experience. And to think that I will be sleeping and spending 12 hours at this prison on the 2nd of September, and I will also be doing a live broadcast. Now, if you are interested, obviously the live broadcast you'll see anyway. I mean, obviously the live broadcast will be on my YouTube channel as well as this one. It's going to be exactly the same, guys. You're not going to miss anything whatsoever. It's going to be done in completely the same way. I'm going to start the broadcast in exactly the same place, and I'm going to go through the same thing, like the same path or routine, if you like, as this one. So I wanted to make both the live broadcast and this video message exactly the same, so that whether you watched one or the other or both, you didn't miss anything. But there we go. So that's it for now. That's the end of part 2 of this episode of Infamous Times. Thank you so very much, as always, for joining me as we continue to go in search of Britain's most abandoned and derelict places. And this is absolutely, without question, the most incredible, most fascinating and just extraordinary abandoned and derelict place I've ever been into. It's just unbelievable, and if you get a chance to come here and visit this prison for yourself, please do, because it is well worth a visit, whether you go on a self-guided tour or whether you go on a guided tour. It is absolutely amazing if that's the kind of thing that you'd want to look at. But I am absolutely delighted that you could join me today for this episode of Infamous Times, part 1 and part 2. So that's it for now, guys. So stay tuned, keep watching. There's plenty more coming your way. Obviously, over the next days and weeks and months, we've got plenty of more places coming your way, so don't worry too much. Obviously, I'm aware that Infamous Times has been a little bit quiet over the last couple of weeks, and that's only because I've been so busy with work, and also I've been so busy here at the prison. I don't mean I've been busy working or anything, but I've been busy here visiting, getting a feel for the place, finding my way around, then doing obviously I'm doing this as well, and then doing the live broadcast. So it's kind of taken up, this prison has taken up a couple of my days off. But don't worry, because I've got plenty more locations coming your way, plenty. So don't worry, lots and lots of fascinating new locations coming your way. So stay tuned and keep watching, both on my Facebook page and on YouTube. So until the next time, from me and Her Majesty's Prison in Shrewsbury, it's bye from me, and bye from this place. So yeah, take care, God bless, have a fantastic rest of your evening, have a fantastic weekend, have a fantastic week, and I will see you right back here for another fascinating episode of Infamous Times as we continue in our search for abandoned and derelict places. So from me, oops, that's my visitor's pass, by the way, if you're wondering what that is, that's my visitor's pass. So from me and Shrewsbury Prison, take care, God bless, thank you for joining us, and yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it. I have loved filming this for you guys today. It's been absolutely spectacular. It's been amazing. I've heard some things again. But yeah, extraordinary place. So until the next time, God bless, take care, and I will speak to you and see you very soon right here live on Facebook and on YouTube for another episode of Infamous Times, as our quest and our search for Britain's most abandoned and derelict places continues. So until the next time, you take care, and I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for tuning in and for watching. It's been my absolute pleasure as always. So